Hello and welcome to Stress Less with me, Jess. My special guest today is Bethany Inez. Hello, Bethany. How are you?
Hi, I'm amazing. Thank you for having me on.
I'm so excited to be on here. I feel like we already became best friends before we pressed record. So, hey. So, let's just get right started. You are an intuitive coach. Before we even break down more about your business, being Splendor, and everything in between, can you just tell everybody what an intuitive coach is? Because we have a lot of coaches on here, which is awesome, but I don't think I have an intuitive coach on here. So can you just explain a little bit more?
Yeah, okay. So I describe that as being connected to spirit when I'm actually coaching. So for me, that's, the technique of getting my ego out of the way as much as possible so that I can hear things that are beyond what's being said in front of me, and then being able to work with the client in that way. So it's very spirit guided. I'll give you an example. Recently I was working with someone who she had like a blockage around anytime she had paper stuff, which is actually so funny about what we were kind of just talking about before we pressed play here. Anytime paper would go in front of her, she'd go into overwhelm where she's like, I can do things in this other area, but this part doesn't work. And while she's saying it, I got a vision of this moment when she was 4 years old where something happened that upset her around whether she was intelligent or not. And it basically then connected her entire life up to this point. And so, if you're just coaching someone, you can't really get that, right? Like, as in, she's not going to remember a memory at 4 years old. But when I do it in a way that's intuitive, that brings spirit into it, I get these downloads, and then I'm able to take people into places that we wouldn't have got them to before, which is a deeper level of freedom.
I like that you brought in the fact that we were talking about stuff earlier. And I think a lot of people can, even with woo woo or no woo woo, right? Let's either way, I think a lot of people can relate to that fact of there's a part of me from previous, maybe a couple years ago when I was younger, when I was a teenager, previous relationship that made me think this way, that put this in my mind that I'm not capable, I'm not smart enough, I'm not able to do this. And we hold on to that, not even realizing we've been holding on to it for how long, and we've built these habits and lifestyles around that I can't do this because at 4 years old, I convinced myself that I'm not smart. In my preteens, when my teacher told me this, I realized that I'm not able to do that. And we hold on to that. So now you got her and you're saying, okay, 4 years old, you convinced yourself that you're not smart, you're not intelligent. So now what? Do we show her how to do 2 plus 2 because it was at 4 years old? Break us down into how we go from 4 year old to now to start to believe in myself that I can work with paper.
So the thing I'll use her example is that when a human has an experience like that, it's like they trap the emotions in their body, is generally, or the experience hasn't been processed properly. So I took her back into the experience and took her back into her body to go, what's actually going on for you? And she's like, I'm feeling this sadness, I'm feeling this embarrassment. And, so then we worked through allowing that to cycle through the body. And so, in that moment, it was in front of a parent. And so then she was uh, like feeling like she had to hold face right in front of her mum, and so then she began to cry and let it out. And it was like as soon as she could actually experience and express the energy that had happened in that moment, then she can release it. And it's still, you still have to step into the things, like you're still wired to think that. And I wish there was a switch we could flick that made people go from one to the other. But it's, once you've got the awareness is a huge piece. First of all, to know what's the belief I'm holding, how did I get there? Once you've allowed it to cycle through your body, because the energy needs to move through, is another massive piece. And then it's being dedicated to living it out in the moments. So when she goes to the paper the next time, and she goes into that feeling of wanting to overwhelm, which, I'm going to have to check in with her. This was just recently, but ideally she's not going to go into that energy as much anymore, because it's kind of like reactivates, and that's what actually makes her go into overwhelm. And so because she's had a chance to move that through, then she's able to come to the situation, feel that automation where she wants to go back into the old habit, pause, go into the awareness and go, hang on, I'm doing the thing again. This isn't actually true. This is just coming from that. And then calm herself down, come back into the now and behave differently. So yeah, awareness is a huge piece, moving the energy, and then being like dedicated to that rewiring, that you keep showing up and choosing something different so that you can reshape your reality.
There's a couple of pieces I like want to highlight 'cause I think they're really important. I think the first one is that, you use the word energy in your body and awareness. And I say this in my own terms of your first response to stress is your body. But we tend to ignore all these signs. And so we just keep moving through our day, not realizing how connected we are with our body or how connected we should be with our body. And a lot of that starts with that awareness piece. But for me, with my clients, they don't make time to make that connection because we're always on the go. And I think the last part that you mentioned too is that rewiring, because life is still going to happen. Just because you realize the problem, you're like, okay, I now know this stems from this situation. It doesn't make it go away. We just now created this awareness, and we have to keep practicing what we're being taught right now to overcome that, because those memories and those feelings in that body are going to come up again. And so it's that now what? And so what am I learning from that every time? And I think the biggest point of what I tell my clients is that it starts to shorten. Maybe this time it lasted a couple of days, the stress, the anxiety, the frustration, but maybe next time it's a day, maybe next time it's an hour, maybe. And that's where I think we get frustrated with ourselves. We're like, oh, well, I shouldn't have this feeling anymore. It's not the
Yeah.
case, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we want that quick instant fix, and it's not the reality. Like, and even when you're healing on the spirit level, like I don't think spirit it's gentle. It takes, you've got space and time. Like, it's our human thinking that we don't have time. Actually, want to touch on what you're saying there, when people do the like, oh, I'm too busy to heal. And like, when you peel this back and go, how much time does the wound actually take out of your day? Right? Like, if we're using this one, and this woman's in overwhelm, and it's like, how many mistakes does she make? How many times does, like, that then mean that jobs take longer for her to do? Or how much is she in her head and in that, rather than being present in the moment? And what does that cost her? And when you start to see that, you're like, if I actually stop and heal, I save time. I actually free up my day. I had someone recently, kid, I coach this woman every week, and one week she's like, I'm so overwhelmed. I've taken on too much. And I'm like, your intuition took you into each piece. So are you sure you've really taken on too much? I'm like, yeah, there's all. So then we deal with the fears behind it. And a week later, she has forgotten the last phone call. And she's there saying, I just feel like I have all this spaciousness in my life. And I feel like I need to like bring something else in. I'm being a bit lazy kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was just the perfect example of the contrast of the time to not heal isn't a reality. Like, if we heal, we create.
I am obsessed with that because I also feel when I tell people when we start to focus on ourselves, we start to kind of get rid of a lot of that stuff in our life that doesn't matter, that drama, that negative energy, there's negative people in our life when we start to focus on ourselves. But when we give ourselves that time to focus on ourselves, we don't know what to do with it. Like, oh, well, I should be cleaning, I should be studying, I should be learning something new, I should be doing a side gig, I should be doing all these things. But I feel what we tend to do is go back to these older habits of, well, let me just search through social media. Why don't I binge watch this show? Why don't I go do this activity, right? Go call this person that I really don't want to hang out with, but because I have this time, I might as well just try and make time for this person. So I love what you're saying because it's so true. We try to just we have this time we're going, well, now what? Well, what do I do with it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is the thing, like, healing, we need ourselves. When you free up time and when you connect, it's like, whoa, I really need to be with myself now. And humans are not wired to do that. We're wired for distractions. And so then it's like, yeah, to be in the now and to be so present and peaceful with yourself is so foreign that people fight it.
For sure. No, and I love all these examples. I think they're so real. So for the person that's taking down notes and they're going, I really want to work with Bethany. Can you kind of just break down the spiritual part of your coaching? I think not many people understand that. I think they understand the habits. I think they understand the importance of being coached. But can you explain why you're different in the sense of the spiritual part?
Yeah, absolutely. So underneath, like, Splendor has a whole bunch of different offerings and like programs that we run, but the undercurrent with all of them is teaching people the difference between their ego and their true self. And so in that, it's like your ego is the human part of you, the limited, separate, fear-based part of you. And then your true self is actually the essence behind all of that, your spirit, um, your intuition, your connection with your higher self, God, spirit, like whatever it is that you call it, universal energy. And so I'm always teaching people how to know the difference between the two and how to come back into their true self behind that. And so when you are coming from that space, it's like you're fully co-creating with universal energy. And in that, you come into the ultimate, which is becoming your own coach. I say to people, like, if you continuously need me, I'm doing something wrong, right? Like, we are all meant to be able to be in connection with that energy and guide ourselves. And so to be coaching with me is to work into how to reconnect with that part of yourself so that you confidently become your own guide. Now, like, the ego is sneaky. Like, it likes to come in and convince us that, oh no, this is actually your true self, when it is fully your ego. And so it takes time to learn that and to practice that with people, and someone who can feel it, so that you can shift out of that behavior. And also knowing that, like, you're never fully going to get rid of the ego. Like, that is what it is to be human, is to have one. And so practicing it with someone so that you are always confident that you could know the differences and tame that, and come into alignment with who you really are, is, yeah, that's the work that we do, which I think is really different to a lot of other coaches.
I really appreciate that breakdown. So for the listener, what is the best way for them to contact you?
Yeah, so our website is revealyoursplendor.com, and Splendor's spelt with OR, and then it's the same handle for our Instagram, Reveal Your Splendor. We have a whole bunch of different programs. So there's one around habits, one around releasing weight, another about consciously redesigning your entire life, and another on manifestation, and plenty more that are coming through. They seem to just be downloading through me on a daily basis at the moment. But yeah, lots of different ways that we support people, but all coming back home to yourself.
I like it. If anything, just check out her website, just because when you first log on, it's just so common the way, I won't give it away, but there's, when you first log on, there's just a thing that happens. And you're just like, oh, okay, it's all good. I definitely
Just
want
brings
to.
some peace there, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. I felt myself even sit back going, ah.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. I actually haven't had that feedback yet, and I was like, "Oh, do I put this on? Does this
Yeah.
irritate people?" But yeah,
No,
that's beautiful.
no, I love it. So let's get to the next part of the podcast. So, what do you want to work on when it comes to managing your stress?
What do I personally want to work on, or what do? Oh, wow. Um. Oh, that's a great question. I think I'm not stressed enough these days, to tell you the truth. I've actually just come through. I have been shifting and moving so much that for 6 weeks now, I've just had zero routine, and I've just been in flow and going, like, I turned night into day. I was working until the sun came up, and super peacefully, because it was like quiet at night. Um, and then would sleep during the day. And yeah, I'm literally just coming out of this zone of, like, okay, Beth, come on, get some more stuff done. Like, you need some pressure. But I mean, stress in general, I think stress is always activated through fear. Like, and removing fear is the goal in life, right? Like, we have two emotions in life. Anything that you experience can be pulled back down to either fear or love. And fear is going to lower your vibration, love is going to take you into a high vibration. So anytime that you are out of the presence of peace, you're in fear. So any kind of stress, there's something connected to that. And so, yeah, for me, it's just like such a practice now, that if I do feel stressed, it's like, okay, what's the fear here? What am I doing that's taking me into this, and how do I release that? More often, if I was to fall into it, it's the thinking I can get everything done in a day, like taking on, I can create 5 programs and launch them all in a month. Like, that's totally fine. That's my zone, and I need to learn human limitations.
I really like asking this question because people like us who work with other people and are supporting other people, supporting them when it comes to stress and it comes to, frustrations in their life or spiritual things that are going on in life. I think sometimes people think that we have all the answers and we don't stress and we don't have these issues. And it's like, no, no, we definitely do. We have different reactions now. And so we want to teach you those healthier reactions. So when they come, kind of going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, where they're different and they're healthier reactions. So that's why I really like this question more so. But I also like to hear how people define stress. And I like the way that you mentioned it in the sense of fear. I think a lot of people can relate to that. I think the two words that come up a lot when it comes to stress are fearing and being in control. So thank you for bringing that word up.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, I have two more things. One, what is the one thing you want the listeners to take away from your episode?
That's not funny. I think it's like the possibility of being their limitless self, right? Like of knowing that there is a possibility to come out of this energy, out of fear, out of any kind of limitation in their life, and there's actually tools out there that they can learn that will get them there. And it's not, I guess it's like not accepting anything less, like knowing that hey, this is possible, and I actually owe it to myself to go and seek that because I get to create a better life.
Yes, so many good things in there. All right, last thing, let's get right into the lightning round. Are you ready?
I think no, but let's go.
I promise it's all good. What is your favorite day of the week?
Already Friday. Friday's my me day. I love it. Yeah.
I love when you have a me day. It's perfect. Is your bed made right now?
Yes.
What movie could you watch over and over again?
Oh, I'm torn between an old and a good. Like the old one is Braveheart. I don't know how many times I've watched it, and then the current one is The Gentleman. It's so funny. Like it's so well done.
I actually really like both those ones, so I can't say anything.
We are besties now, so that's fair.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Exactly. What is your go-to lazy dinner?
Oh, it's like a cheese platter thing. Like I just get a whole bunch of little ingredients and just graze. Yeah.
There's this thing recently on Instagram and TikTok and all the things where it's called girl dinner, and I cannot relate to something more in my life. um, Finish this phrase. The way to my heart is,
Oh, through my spirit.
oh, oh, I love that. I feel like I just felt that as soon as you said that. Oh, Bethany, I'm just so grateful you made time today to hang out and really just enlighten people on everything that you do. I just really appreciate who you are.
Oh, thank you. It's been so lovely meeting you. And yeah, we'll be catching up after this as well.